Okay, let's call this meeting to order.
May I call the roll?
Please call the roll.
President Pro Tem Hermes.
Here.
Mr. Halter.
Here.
Mr. Dries.
Here.
Mr. Lee.
Here.
Ms. Metz.
Here.
And Ms. Walter.
Here.
Okay, let's first do a prayer by Councilmember Maria Walter and then pledge.
Lord, we ask you to send your spirit of servanthood upon all of us here gathered this evening to do your work for the benefit of all in our community. We ask you to bless our elected and appointed officials so they may deliberate with wisdom and act with courage. Bless the members of our community who comes here to speak before council so they state their cause with honesty and humility. Lord, we ask you to bless us all and that everything that we do here tonight will move you to welcome us one day into your kingdom as good and faithful servants. We ask this in the name of our brother Jesus. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have two sets of minutes on the agenda, April 23rd, the regular meeting, and the May 14th work session. Do we have any corrections?
I have the motion to amend the agenda.
Okay, so you want to do that before the approval of the minutes? Okay, go ahead.
I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add an executive session at the end of the meeting to discuss a position, and nothing will be voted or done afterwards.
I need a second.
Second. Compensation of public employee, okay?
Okay,
Did we have a second on that? I'm sorry.
yes.
Second.
Any corrections or changes to the April 23rd minutes?
No, I move that we adopt the minutes.
May 14th? Okay. We don't need to, with no changes, we don't need to make a motion there, correct?
Correct.
Okay, the next thing on our agenda is swearing in of Greenhills police officers. Jack is taking things from me. I saw those, and thank you. The first one we have is we have a promotion, so.
Actually, it's reverse.
Reverse? You would like to do that reverse?
President Pro Tem, before you swear him in, let me introduce him to you and the rest of council.
Okay, can you go to the podium or lean into yours so we can get it?
I'm pleased to introduce Officer David Bacon. Officer Bacon is 29, married, and the father of one son who's front and center. He's a 2008 graduate of Dayton High School in Dayton, Kentucky. He attended Northern Kentucky University and was a 2017 graduate of the University of Cincinnati Police Academy. He served in the United States Army in both Kuwait and South Korea, and I heard that we had the dates wrong. What are the correct dates? 2011 until 2016. He was honorably discharged with the rank of sergeant. He is currently a member of the Army Reserves, and he is presently serving as a police officer for the city of Mount Healthy. So here with him is his wife, Heather, who is going to hold on to the Bible while you administer the oath of office.
Okay, you can put your hand on and repeat after me.
You got to raise your right. There you go. Hand on the. There you go.
Ready? Okay. And repeat after me. I, David M. Bacon,
I, David M. Bacon,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States,
and laws of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
and the Charter and ordinances
and the charters and ordinances
of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio,
of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties of the office of police officer
discharge the duties of the office of police officer
to which I have been appointed,
to which I have been appointed,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
There is a ceremony that's about to occur. It's passing down the badge. A veteran officer, Officer Tony Patton, is going to pass on his badge, and hopefully some of that wisdom, knowledge, and experience should also make. And his wife Heather is going to pin that on without any injuries. David, anything you'd like to say?
I'm excited to come to Greenhills and, do the best I can for the community. And I look forward to it. And a long, prosperous career. So, just say hi to me out on the streets, and I'll do everything I can to help the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, welcome. Welcome. Here we go.
Yeah, give me some of that.
To do it.
Next up, we have Tony Patton, who's certainly no stranger to anyone. I recall that the night I was sworn in, he was seated right back there in the corner, so turnabout's fair play. Tony is a 30-year veteran of the department. He was appointed on October 11th, 1988. He's previously served as a sergeant from 2007 to 2011. Since then, he's been assigned as a firearms instructor, a taser instructor, a field training officer, and an acting sergeant. He will now report to Lieutenant Ward for assignment as our patrol supervisor. So, I'd like to raise your right hand towards the President Pro Tem. Put your other hand on the Bible. She will swear you in.
I, Anthony J. Patton,
I, Anthony J. Patton,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States,
and the laws of the United States,
the Constitution
the Constitution
and laws of the State of Ohio,
and the laws of the State of Ohio,
and the Charter and ordinances
and the Charter and ordinances
of the Village of Greenhills,
of the Village of Greenhills,
Ohio,
Ohio,
and will to the best of my ability
and will, to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties of the office
discharge the duties of the office
of Police Sergeant
of Police Sergeant,
to which I have been appointed,
to which I have been appointed.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Any words of wisdom, Tony? Appreciate working with Village. It's been a long time, and good place to work. Got a lot of history, and a lot to do rest. Congratulations.
Make the rounds.
Good job, too. Thank you. Thanks, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you. This is the time for citizens to comment on matters before council. When recognized, please come forward to the lectern, give your name and address, and then state your comments or questions. This is not intended to be a dialogue with council or village staff. If you have questions, the questions will be recorded and referred to the manager's office for response. This will allow time for thoughtful and thorough consideration to be given to each question. Council meetings are recorded for ease of transcription. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Does anyone like to come forward? And make sure to print your name and contact information as well. Oh, pull it forward, sorry.
Pointed towards the police officer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My name is Monique Mason-Halter. I live at 154 Junefield. I've spoken here before about 4G and 5G small cell technology being installed in or near our neighborhoods. A fiber line was installed last year on Sharon Road, but the small cells have not yet been attached. In February, telecom industry representatives gave congressional testimony that they have no scientific evidence that 5G is safe. Elected officials in different parts of the country are challenging its installation, including at the local level. As you know, Ohio House Bill 478 went into effect last year, and it prevents municipalities from stopping small cell installation. Federal legislation was also passed to eliminate it. This hasn't stopped other Americans and elected officials from trying to stop or at least reduce installation in their communities. Elected officials in Hallandale Beach, Florida, passed a resolution urging state legislators and federal government to study the health effects of 5G and to develop guidelines to protect the health and welfare of residents. I'm asking you to do the same, as well as work on overturning Ohio House Bill 478. I spoke at a Hamilton County Commissioners meeting earlier this month and asked them to do this as well. Maybe you can all work together on this. Last September, I spoke about all of this with Jessica Miranda before she was elected as our state rep. I have been keeping her updated since. Perhaps you could reach out to her as well. There is research confirming that 5G is not safe and that exposure to all sources of cell phone and wireless radiation is not safe either. It can cause diabetes, kidney disease, mental health issues, respiratory health issues, violence, increased cancer risk, and much more. The first 5G court case was won last year in England, but only after it was installed and residents became sick. Grave cybersecurity risks have also been identified with 5G, even by a former senior National Security Council director. Within the last week, the U.S. Navy, NASA, and American meteorologists have also warned that 5G will severely reduce the accuracy of predicting the weather, and large urban areas will be impacted first. I'm part of a local group called Southwest Ohio for Responsible Technology. You can find links to all of this on our Facebook page. I've sent the information about Hallandale Beach to Ms. Kovac already. I'm also recommending that you don't install LED streetlights here. The American Medical Association and other experts have warned against this due to serious biological and environmental health issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak?
Jack is my PTSD support dog, and he recognizes that I'm very upset tonight. I'm very upset because I had to come to talk to you people once again. Got the agenda packet here, and I see you've got some hokey thing here for your resolution 2019-18 CD. I'm not going to waste my time sitting here listening to you banter around about this, but I do have some caveats. Number one, a copy of that contract in its entirety will be sent to the National New Deal Association, to Jeffrey Burt, to everyone who was involved in the concerns about the injunction. It will be filed with the appeals court because you're taking action that is associated with one of the remedies that's inside of that appeal case. I don't know where you get your legal advice. I'm assuming it's from Jeff Forbes, but I understand that the city of Springdale just fired their firm, and I think it's about time that this organizations started looking for second opinions, because I think you guys are getting yourself personally this time in a bunch of hot water. You could proceed on whatever the hell you think you've got going on here. The thought that you're going to sell DeWitt Court and all those garages for $39,000 is insanity. It's insanity that you're giving this hocus builder 2 years to come up with building some kind of construction that looks like canisters from freight cars. Have you done any marketing study to see, is anyone interested in buying something that is that much of an eyesore? Have you talked to the adjoining property owners to see what we think about? It's not funny, Yvonne.
Yeah.
You know, you don't live here.
What you're
You don't
saying.
have to put up with this shit. We do. My property value is in the tank. Now that you're assessing the property values for lots down to $65,000, that means all of us in the historic district can go back to the Board of Revisions and have our $20-something thousand lots reduced to 65 because you're setting a precedent. I'm sending to the Institute of Justice. They're getting a copy of your resolution. They're getting a copy of the injunction. They're getting a copy of all of this stuff. You guys have got yourself in a hell of a lot of hot water. This guy here isn't worth 2 cents. Why you stuck with them through all of this nonsense? Have you ever even considered getting a second opinion? Have you ever even considered getting a marketing study? You don't even have a local historic district. What in the hell are you promoting one for? You've not held a public hearing. You've not had any kind of a notice to property owners.
Thank you for your time.
The problem is
Thank you for your time.
you're wasting property and you're wasting our
Mrs. Antoine, thank you
resources
for your
and
time.
money. And I know it doesn't make a hill of beans to you, because none of you live in the historic district and you could give a shit.
And could you please watch your language, and thank you for your time.
Well, I will say that I want to compliment the police chief, because he did follow up on some child endangerment today. The guy's still over there investigating.
Would anyone else like to speak? Would any other residents like to address the council?
I would
Your
suggest
time is
also
up.
that you
Mrs.
read
Antoine, your time
verbatim.
is up.
I think you should read your contract verbatim so that the public knows exactly what it is that you're intending to do by resolution instead of an ordinance, which is illegal.
Would anyone else like to speak? I will wait. Okay, now it's time for reports of village officials. We'll start with municipal manager, Ms. Kovac.
Thank you. And actually, the majority of my report tonight is going to focus on what I consider to be a major piece of legislation on your agenda tonight regarding the development of our vacant property in our historic district. For those who may not realize it, yes, we do have a historic district. There's been a historic district in Greenhills since 1989, when it was first listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And then at the end of 2016, we actually received a national landmark designation for a slightly larger area of that historic district. So we are working on a local historic district that's separate from those two, but it'll follow the same basic area. I think at the last meeting, maybe I was talking about the fact that those boundaries have not been determined, but we are very proud of that district. And one of the things that we did really like, you may recall a couple of years ago, some of you, that the village actually hired an architect, John Sennhauser, who deals with a lot of historic buildings all through Cincinnati and this whole area. And we asked him to develop buildings that are in keeping with what was torn down on that site and what does exist in the community now. And I think everybody has seen those, and yes, they may not be for everybody, but they're certainly a very nice way to carry our history into the future in a modern sort of way. So the beauty of our developer who came forward and said, literally, I will build what it is that you are looking for. And other people have not done that. Other folks have wanted to build just, whatever. We're not all about that. We very much want to keep and have what will carry our history forward. So the name of the company is Quality Construction Resources, represented by Chip Henderson, who is here tonight. He has 21 years of experience in constructing all different kinds of housing types, including townhomes like we have here. He's constructed homes in a number of communities, including Fairfield, Forest Park, Amberley Village, Cincinnati. Most recently, you're working in Springdale. He has assembled a development team, and one of those members, who happens to be his son, does have experience with historic districts down in Atlanta, so he will be consulting on the project. And we've had a number of conversations about making sure that it's properly designated, that what was there is remembered somehow, either in plaques or information that's disseminated when people are in the area. So we're working on those things. Getting our street signs in is critical with the designating the historic district. That will be a key piece of marketing. And yes, we have looked at the market, and actually it's quite strong right now, so this is a good time to be doing what we're doing. Let me explain a little bit of the agreement. I think it's going to be introduced to you tonight. We're proposing to sell, it would be 8 different sites that would be a total of about 29 new single-family homes that can be constructed on those. We'll sell those over a 24-month period. We will not sell them all at one time, but as homes are sold on each site, 1 or 2 of the townhomes, then we will convey the site, they'll build the building, and so on and so on. The construction, each lot, not each site, but each lot so for 29 different lots, we have arrived at a price of $6,500. This is for vacant land. Not for homes that already have houses constructed on them. These homes, once constructed, will probably be in about the $250 and up range. We anticipate. Once they're all sold, though, for our $6,500, it'll be $188,500 for general fund for our property. It's written in the agreement is written in a manner that Mr. Henderson did have to sign it before I had it in council tonight, and he has signed the document. I have the signed sheets from him. The agreement also indicates that from the point where we execute the agreement, and that's based on when you approve it, he has 120 days to meet all contingencies and then draw down the first lot. And then within 24 months from that period of time, you have 24 months to build it out at that point. Once final development plans are ready, it will go to Planning Commission and follow the normal site plan review process that we would have for a project of this magnitude. So really, in summary, Mr. Henderson is willing to construct what was our vision for the property. He has the experience, he has the financial capability. He's very interested in the historic aspect. That'll definitely be a part of this entire project. The housing market is good, and so hopefully before too long we'll have a signed agreement. A couple other things I wanted to mention, that the swimming pool did open this past weekend. We had a good weekend in spite of a crazy weather. It was like on and off, but overall it was warm. We did take in a lot of money. I was hoping to have the final count on memberships for you that we took in this weekend, but I don't have that information. I'll have it for you at the work session. Our generator has arrived. It's sitting on its new pad, and the installation's continuing. There's going to come a day, and that day is going to be this Friday, when we will be without power for about 8 hours. So the electrician is trying to rig it so that we will have our phone system, correct, Chief?
Yes.
Phone system. But do remember, we won't have anything else. We won't have our computers, our copiers, anything that would require electricity during that time, but we will be here to answer the phone and do whatever we can do on that day. And I'm sure if he can get it done quicker than 8 hours, he will, so he's doing a terrific job. Okay, we did have some obvious issues with our pickleball court. And a more heavy-duty, first of all, power washing is needed for that. I did line somebody up today to power wash the old courts a little bit better, make them look a little nicer. Service will be working on the weeds and bushes and clearing it out a little bit better. I also circulated a picture of something that just down the road, if it's something that we want to consider, rather than just limiting it to pickleball, there are some places that do these like multi-use kinds of courts. For those of you that don't have the picture in front of you, it has like a basketball court, hopscotch, I guess you could do tennis or pickleball. In the back is it, I think is it bocce ball? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
So that might be something we want to consider going forward. But just to help in the immediate, we're going to get the power washed and cleaned up and see if it looks a little bit better at that point in time. Also wanted to mention this is David's last week with us. So I just want to thank you for your work, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very
It's
much.
going to be with our neighbors, going back to Glendale. So thank you for everything.
Thank you.
That's my report for now.
I did have a question. This is what we're selling for the contract. It's only vacant land, correct?
Correct.
Mrs. Antoine
Yeah, I don't
mentioned the
know what
garages, and
I don't know what the
I-
39,000, I don't know.
the garages are not something that we're currently selling, so I just wanted to clarify that. Any other questions?
Yeah, Mrs. Kovac, Ms. Kovac, in case that you decide to have the basketball court, I have 3 sets.
Oh, do you? Okay, all right.
And I cannot play with all 3,
No.
so I can donate some.
Okay.
Anybody else? Law Director, Mr. Forbes?
Thank you. Thank you, David. You've seen my written report. As far as the legislative update goes, I included those 4 bills not because they have any direct impact on the Village of Greenhills, because they all have to do with photo or camera enforcement, and you don't utilize that right now. The reason I included those 4 bills that were all introduced, I believe, by the same legislator, is that even in the face of the Ohio Supreme Court indicating that these traffic enforcement cameras are legal and that they are a function of home rule, municipal home rule, these are just 4 bills that were introduced, every one of them to chip away at the home rule authority that cities and villages should have as far as regulating the safety of their streets with, if they want to use traffic enforcement cameras or not. So again, I don't believe any of these would have a direct impact on Green Hills. I only included them as a sort of a demonstration of where the state legislature seems to be heading with respect to home rule. On your pending legal matters, you have 2 cases that have been on this update for some time now. The first is the lawsuit that Mrs. Antoine filed in state court about the demolition of that property that she was speaking about tonight. Just as a reminder to everyone on council and anyone else, that lawsuit was dismissed because the court found that she had absolutely no standing to even bring a lawsuit on that topic against the village. So it was dismissed. She's filed an appeal. The appeal has been briefed at the Court of Appeals. The only change to the last update that I gave you is that the oral argument was originally scheduled for sometime in June. The court has contacted us. They have a scheduling conflict that day, so it has been rescheduled. The oral argument date now is July 31st of this year. So again, that case was dismissed, and it's on appeal now. And then as far as the other lawsuit that she filed in federal court, there's no change on that. She lost that case, and she's lost it at every level you could lose it at. And at this point, the only thing that's waiting is to see if she tries to appeal it to the United States Supreme Court. But there's been no change in that case since my last report.
Jeff, on the federal
Yes.
Suit. When was that first filed? Do you recall?
Years, I mean, it was,
2013 or
13.
2014?
13.
Okay.
It was prior
So
to,
it's been 6 years,
yes,
roughly.
roughly, yeah.
I knew it was a long time ago.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm. But that would conclude my report, unless there are other questions.
thank you. Acting Clerk of Council, Mr. Lumsden.
Thank you. I wanted to report that resolutions 2019-12 SNS and 2019-13 SNS were both posted as required, along with the May community calendar. And if I may, I'd like to thank council for the opportunity to serve as acting clerk, and thanks Yvonne for 2 wonderful years in the village office, and sad to go, but thank you.
You're close by.
Exactly, that concludes my report.
Any questions? Okay, Chief of Police, Chief Furterman.
Thank you, Mayor. We got some exciting.
Thank you.
We got some exciting summer reports or summer events coming up. This Saturday, June 1st, we will be holding the Coffee with the Cop. That'll be down at Foster's Troubadour. We'll be there from 9 until 11, and we'll have some really nifty Greenhills police mugs free to anyone who attends to put their coffee in. So we're hoping that people will come to discuss any of their ideas and concerns and share a cup of coffee with us. We hope that everyone that's listening might be able to attend. We'd like to ask folks to mark their calendars for September. We'll have an event coming up that's now booked on September 14th, right here in this chamber. You'd be amazed how we can transform it into a self-defense class. But that's what we'll be doing on Saturday morning from 10 until 2 on September the 14th. We're fortunate enough to have an officer, Zach Clark, who is a state-certified self-defense instructor, and he will be conducting the class. It's a great opportunity for young and old men and women alike to learn how to protect themselves in this increasingly dangerous world. Some other fun events we have coming up. Yvonne has sweetened the pot, so to speak. We had snacks at the last manager's park talk, and they were awfully good. And on June 18th, which is our next scheduled park talk, pizza. So
Wow.
it's a good reason to come and learn what's going on in our village. Officers will be there, Yvonne and I will both be there, and then we have the big event that will be on August 6th, and that will be National Night Out. That will be at the shelter, and we'll be grilling up some taste treats for anyone who attends that. So some fun events coming up. One initiative that we have just got underway is a home camera registry. What we'd like to do is have folks let us know voluntarily where they might have home security systems. We've already had 2 instances where that has solved crimes for us, or at least given us really good tips. There are so many of these with the prices going down and the technology getting better. So it gives us a heads up if we have a crime in a neighborhood. We will canvass the neighborhood to find out who has cameras, but this saves us a little bit of time in doing that. If folks would voluntarily let us know, all that information is on our website, and we hope that our residents will take a look at that. We've had some comments and a little bit of fun with a couple of new signs that have been posted. I think the best line ever is the complete stop is free and rolling stops are $177.
Yep.
We hope that cuts down on the number of folks that roll through our stop signs. And then we have our new electronic speed sign. We've also had some fun with that. We actually have it turned on right at the present over on Andover Road. And you might be interested in some of the stats. It's not just a sign, it's a smart sign. So it generates some pretty detailed analytical reports. The first place it was deployed was across from 72 Cromwell, facing from Damon towards Burley. Interestingly, these reports show, and we've had it deployed since May the 3rd, and these reports are up current until today. For the days it was over there from May 3rd to May 10th, the average speed on Cromwell was 25 miles an hour. So we pretty much achieved our goal, I think. We only had one high speed, and that was about between 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and that was at 29 miles an hour. So that was the highest speed. After that, we headed over at 64 Cromwell, facing from Burley down to Damon. It was over there from the 10th until the 17th. The average speed, they're a little bit more lead foot on Cromwell, 27 miles an hour, but still within, well below what we would stop for a speeding citation. Currently, as I mentioned, it's over in front of 34 Andover, pointing from Winton down to Cromwell. The highest speed we had was at 6 or 7 in the morning. Somebody must have been a little late for work, and that was 30. But the average speed for all of the cars that passed by was 24 miles an hour. So I think it's good news to know that we don't have a horribly reckless speeding situation in the village, but this is still a tool to help us monitor that. We're between the services foreman, the manager, and I, we're coordinating the locations where that goes, and we'll be happy to use that to slow folks down as much as we can. We also this month had the Police Memorial Day ceremony down in Cincinnati. Unfortunately, it honored the memory of 163 law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty last year in the United States, including 5 here in Ohio. We're very privileged to have 2 members that were accepted into the Hamilton County Police Association Honor Guard. That includes Eric Tricase and now Zach Clark, and Officer Clark was able to attend that. We're grateful to the manager that she allowed us to proceed with filling a vacancy and promoting Sergeant Patton and Officer Bacon. I can tell you that Officer Bacon was a tremendous find. I think he's going to do an outstanding job here, and with Tony's experience, knowledge, and wisdom, I just don't think we could get any better. So I think it will do nothing but improve our police department. I'm very excited about that. Talk about paying it forward. Our front doors, if you hadn't noticed, are a very bright, shiny white. We were contacted by Wendy Pittman, who is the outreach administrator at the Vineyard Cincinnati Church. Every month they hold an outreach day they call Serve Saturdays, and they go all over the city to serve in various ways. This month, with it being Law Enforcement Memorial Month, they wanted to thank us for serving our communities and ask us for a project that we would like assistance with. Our services crew has been running behind because they're short-staffed at the moment. It's been on their bucket list to get it done, but they just hadn't gotten to it yet. So we were able to provide the paint, and the volunteers came and put in a good 3 to 4 hours work, and the door just looks great. A little thing that might leave you smiling, I saw a report mentioning Officer Patton and then Officer Patton. He stated, while on patrol in the shopping center, I observed a gentleman leaving the dollar store. As he was walking to his vehicle, he was putting something in his pocket, but he missed. Money went on the ground. I got his attention and picked up the money he had dropped and gave it back to him. So we do pretty much full-service policing here in Greenhills. During the month of April, we investigated 7 accidents, 5 crimes, 391 other incidents, of a total of 601 contacts. 287 of those were dispatched or received by telephone as compared to 283 last April. And 314 of those were self-initiated by our officers as compared to 289 last April. We provided assistance to the public in 139 instances. We assisted other agencies 40 times. We made 42 criminal arrests and 56 traffic arrests. And that concludes my report as acting mayor.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, just wanted to let you know that on Saturday between the hours, Friday night between the hours of 7 and 8, I counted 21 cars on both ways that did not stop in the stop sign.
I heard about that.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll keep on it.
Thank you, Chief. Anyone else? Okay, the next report is for court receipts, and I do not have any left here, so we'll hold that to the next meeting, and we'll move to committee reports. We'll start with community development. Mr. Halter.
Thank you very much. First thing I wanted to mention was the landscaping that's being done now. What is the outfit's name? Grass Pro. I think they're just doing a wonderful job. It is so nice. I know that I've seen the volunteers, and I really applaud all those that volunteer and clean up patches of weeds and all the stuff that crops up. But it seemed like a never-ending battle to see everything looking in front of the shopping center there. Just amazing. It looks good. So I think that was a really good decision and worth the investment, especially along the corridor. And the places that are very visible and affect how the shopping center looks and that kind of thing. So the other thing concerning the property and sale, I think just on a baseline comment, you know, I think I know I can speak for myself, but I believe it's true of everybody else up here. Our intention is to make the best decisions we possibly can make for the village. The conversation falls way into a hole if the assumption is that we're out to destroy the village. We live in the village, most of us do, and
Well, all of us sitting.
all of us
All council. Yeah, clarify that.
all of those that vote do. And we want to make the best decision. I don't think there's anybody here that wants to make a decision that in any means threatens anybody's health, including our own, threatens anybody's property values or that kind of thing. Starting there is a healthier place to go, I think, as far as opening dialogue. It doesn't mean we don't need to learn new information and make changes. I think it'd be foolish to think that that's not on the table. It should be on the table. So we so appreciate people speaking to us and letting us know. It is, I'll have to admit, at times it's a lot of information, and I almost feel like I could do this full-time and it still would fall short. It's not an excuse, but it's also a fact that it takes a lot of time, and sometimes we hear very opposing opinions, but the heart of the matter is trying to do the very best we can. I applaud Chip stepping up and being willing to at least put his hat in the ring as far as this property goes. There were others. This has gone out for others to consider, and we lost at least one of them based on they did not want to build anything that was historically sensitive. And we have a certain way that we would like this to be done that we feel is consistent with our heritage as a village, and that's very, very important, and we really appreciate you taking that seriously. And then the other things on the table are we are introducing this information, this 37 or 38 page packet will not be all read tonight, nor would I think most people would stay awake through that reading, but would be available if someone wants a copy of it. I think if they contact the office to read through it, and more than welcome to do that, and please do. So besides the being sensitive to the historical component, we know, I mean, I work in the area of design, and first of all, safety, structure, functional, financial safeguards are very, very important. Those are also built into this, and something we've asked and quizzed Yvonne on. If all of a sudden you decide to go Hawaii for the rest of the year, how does that affect us? If you go, I'd like to go, by the way. So, I mean, we have to look at it as holistically from that standpoint. But from a design standpoint, I think that, the proposed buildings are very in character, but also sensitive to, people having more cars today than they did when Greenhills first started. And good use of the land, and I just think it's a smart move. But as far as someone, saying that it's, looks like train cars or whatever, to be honest, the style of Greenhills falls more towards the blocky train car, if you want to put it in that category, than it does ornate elsewhere, style. So, but our plan is to make the best decisions, and I think we're doing diligence. We're introducing it tonight. We are not officially passing it tonight, so there is a period of time for review, and that concludes my report for community development.
Thank you, Mr. Halter. Any questions? Okay, Finance and Audit, Mr. Dries.
Thank you. We have not met since our last meeting on April 23rd. We have received the April fiscal officer's report. Income tax year to date is plus 8.09%, and it's probably being driven by a few things. one of those fantastic raises that all of you are receiving, and also the construction at the school site, the building site. So that is a positive. Real estate taxes year-to-date are down -2.5%. The general fund revenue is up 6.8%, and expenses are in line with the budget. So we have a plan, we are working our plan, and that's a good thing. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Dries. Any questions? Okay. Intergovernmental Affairs, Laws and Rules, Mr. Lee.
Thank you. I really don't have a report. We have not met. I have little voice, so I'll just limit my comments to this. Mr. Henderson, I apologize that you were defamed this evening. Mr. Forbes, you as well. We sit up here as elected officials, and we're kind of elected to take verbal abuse from time to time, but you are not, and I apologize for that situation. Thank you.
Questions? Thank you, Mr. Lee. Recreation and Cable Television, Ms. Walter.
We haven't had a meeting for the cable TV because we had it every quarter, and this month was not one that we had a meeting. Would be in June. We have met continuously with the staff about the Harvest Fest. We have also the different days at the pool that we have been discussing, one of them coming up now in June. And I've been recruiting my hamburgers person and hot dog person.
What date is that again?
You're not going to be out of town. And the reason why I'm looking at you is because you're so good at it. And you have my back. So, and that concludes my report.
Remember what you just said about electing to do certain things? I think that's one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That concludes my report.
Any questions? Thank you, Ms. Walter. The next is the Safety Committee. That's me. We have not met since our last meeting. I will be getting with Mr. Dries and Chief Filterman and Manager Kovac to pick a date coming up soon, since we do need to schedule a meeting. Other than that, I want to congratulate and thank the police department for doing a wonderful job and promoting and hiring competent people, and I'm looking forward to their work. I do want to mention that I do have a Ring doorbell that does have motion-sensitive stuff. I used to go through it and delete it all the time. I have since decided that I let it go for a while. That way, at least if something happened, I can look back in that time frame to say, I have not seen anything, or if I have. It's very sensitive, so you get a lot of notifications for cars just driving down the street. So, but they are really good quality for the video, and it was inexpensive. So if anyone has one, please let the police department know and keep us up to date. It's fun viewing entertainment. That concludes my report. If there are any questions. Thank you. Services and Streets, Ms. Metz.
Thank you, Ms. Acting Mayor. Ditto everything that Ms. Tralter and Mr. Lee said in regards to the new development and everything. We are in agreement. Yes, you were right on saying that. As far as Services and Streets, our next meeting is June 25th at 9 a.m. And that concludes my report.
Any questions, comments? The street signs, I like the new street signs. They look amazing. So
Thanks.
I agree.
thank the crew. Now we're moving into new business. First, we have Resolution 2019-14F, a resolution approving the Village of Greenhills, Ohio credit card policy. Mr. Dries.
Thank you. Resolution 2019-14F, a resolution approving the Village of Greenhills, Ohio credit card policy, whereas House Bill 312 establishes guidelines and requirements for political subdivisions with regard to credit card usage, and whereas the legislative authority of the political subdivision is required to adopt a written credit card policy if it holds a credit card account. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Green Hills Section 1, that the municipal manager is hereby authorized and directed to add a credit card policy to the employee handbook attached hereto as Exhibit A. Section 2, it is found and determined that all formal actions of council concerning or relating to the passage of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of council, and that all deliberations of this council and any of its committees that resulted in such formal actions were in the meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements of the Village of Greenhills and the state of Ohio. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage. Acting Mayor, I move for the resolution, or the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Dries?
Aye.
Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Ms. Metz?
Aye.
And Ms. Walter?
Aye.
Motion passes. Resolution 2019-14F. Next is Resolution 2019-15F. Resolution of necessity and requesting the Hamilton County Auditor to certify the total current tax valuation at the Village of Greenhills and the dollar amount of revenue generated by 1 1/2 mills for purposes of evaluating and levying a tax exceeding the 10 mil limitation. Mr. Dries.
Thank you. Resolution 2019-15F, resolution of necessity and requesting the Hamilton County Auditor to certify the total current tax valuation of the Village of Greenhills and the dollar amount of revenue generated by 1 1/2 mills for purposes of evaluating and levying a tax exceeding the 10 mil limitation, whereas the Village Council has preliminarily determined that the amount of taxes which may be raised within the 10 mil limitation will be insufficient to fund necessary services provided by the Village of Greenhills, Hamilton County, Ohio, and whereas the primary purpose and intent of such funding is for the general construction, resurfacing, and repair of streets, roads, and bridges in the municipal corporation as authorized by 5705.19G of the Ohio Revised Code, and whereas Ohio Revised Code 5705.03 requires the Village Council to obtain certain information from the county auditor prior to proceeding with the submission of an additional tax levy to the electors of the village. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, Section 1, that the Village Council has preliminarily determined that it is necessary to levy a tax that is in excess of the 10 mil limitation for the benefit of the residents of Greenhills for the general construction, resurfacing, and repair of streets, roads, and bridges in the municipal corporation as authorized by 5705.19G of the Ohio Revised Code. Section 2, that the levy be placed upon the tax list is a renewal levy. Section 3, that the tax be levied upon the entire territory of the village. Section 4, that the levy shall be for a 5-year period of time. Section 5, that the Village Council hereby requests information from the county auditor related to the current total tax valuation of the village and the dollar amount of revenue that would be generated by a levy of tax at a rate not exceeding 1.5 mils for each $1 valuation for a 5-year period of time. Section 6, that the question of the passage of said tax shall be submitted to the electors of the village at the general election to be held on November 5th, 2019. If approved by a majority of the electors voting at such election, said tax levy shall be first placed upon the 2019 tax list and duplicate for first collection in the calendar year 2020. Section 7, that the clerk of the Village Council is hereby directed to immediately certify to the county auditor this resolution and obtain from the county auditor the information requested hereunder. Section 8, that this resolution shall be effective from and after the earliest period allowed by law. Ms. Mayor, I request, or I move for the passage of this resolution.
Second.
Comments or questions?
Yes, this does not, this simply requests from the county auditor what 1.5 mils of tax would raise. This is a renewal. We have a current street and road tax levy on the books. It expires, and this is just simply a renewal of that levy.
So that will not cause an increase on the taxpayer at all?
I mean, when we get this information,
Actually,
we'll answer
we'll-
that
we'll-
question, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, I don't think it would either, based on what the total valuation is within the village, but we'll know definitively exactly if you're paying, and I'm just making this number up, if you're paying $15 a year for it, we're gonna know, you'll be able to calculate.
Okay, my question comes because I had received several questions from the village voters, and
You can direct them to the manager.
and I did.
Okay.
And my question then is, eventually it will go to the voter in November.
Right.
So we don't have the ultimate word on that if there is a change on the millage, correct? They would be the voter
No, it's
who would have it.
1.5 mils.
1.5?
5 mils, and that's what it currently is right now.
Okay, and it's
Yeah.
just a total renewal, so there should be
Yes.
no increases on that.
If the valuation changes
Then it will.
of all
Okay.
the taxes, it could move up or down a little bit.
But it's still to the people in November to the.
Yes,
to
all
the
we're doing is
decision.
asking the
Okay.
county
the
auditor.
evaluation.
Right now, we have a 1.5 mil tax that produces this much revenue to the village. If we renew that at 1.5 mils, how much
Okay,
revenue will be produced?
all right.
And I believe we've had this in place since 1970,
Mhm.
so it's been around for a long, long time.
A few years.
Okay.
We should be able to answer questions more
Yeah.
definitively after the
After we get,
auditor
After-
gets
yeah, we
the
can't answer
results.
that question until we get them information from the county
Okay,
auditor.
I understand.
Yep.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Walter?
Aye.
Ms. Metz?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Mr. Halter? And Mr. Dries?
Aye.
Resolution 2019-15F passes. Next is Resolution 2019-16 S&S, resolution authorizing assessments on certain properties in the Village of Greenhills. Ms. Metz?
Resolution number 2019-16-S&S, resolution authorizing assessments on certain properties in the Village of Greenhills. Whereas the village has given proper notice to the owners of certain real property in the Village of Greenhills regarding the removal of vegetation, refuse, garbage, and/or debris from the properties listed below, and whereas the owners of said properties did not take action to remedy the violations, and therefore the Village of Greenhills contracted to remove vegetation, refuse, garbage, and/or debris, and now seeks to collect said expenses by authorizing the placement of a lien upon the lands and collected as other taxes. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, Section 1, that the Village Council hereby certifies that the cost of such labor, together with the expenses relative thereto, be filed on the return and statement to the Hamilton County Commissioners as an assessment against the properties listed and placed as a lien against the properties by the Auditor of Hamilton County, Ohio, as follows. Parcel number 597-0030-0035-00, address of 43 Farragut Road, owner of Anthem Property Group, at a cost of $131.80. Parcel number 597-0040-0004-00, address of 53 Flanders Lane, owner of Swallow, Cheryl C., at a cost of $135.80. And parcel number 597-0080-0070-00, address of 32 Burley Circle, owner of Rice, Joseph, for a cost of $565.80, for a total cost of $833.40. Section 2, all amounts collected as a result of this resolution shall be placed into the general fund of the Village of Greenhills. Section 3, this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage. Ms. Acting Mayor, I move to adopt this resolution.
Second.
Questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Mr. Dries?
Aye.
Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Ms. Metz?
Aye.
And Ms. Walter?
Aye.
Resolution 2019-16 S&S passes. Next is Resolution 2019-17F, resolution making supplemental appropriations and transfers. Mr. Dries, back to you.
Thank you. Acting Mayor Hermes. Resolution 2019-17F, resolution making supplemental appropriations and transfers, whereas the 2019 annual appropriations that were adopted on December 11th, 2018 are to be amended, and whereas appropriations must not exceed total available resources of the village per Ohio Revised Code 5705.3685. Therefore, an amended certificate of estimated resources has been requested from the County Budget Commission. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, Section 1, since certain actions are needed in the monies appropriated so to permit the Village of Greenhills to meet its fiscal obligations for the year 2019, the following items of expenditure are to supplement the appropriations for expenditure for the year of 2019. Section 2, the following transfers of funds may be made previously appropriated monies from General Fund 1000 to non-voted debt service 3901, amount $189,000. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after the earliest date allowed by law. Ms. Mayor, I move for the adoption of Resolution 2019-17F.
Second it.
Questions or comments?
This is just a resolution taking money from the general fund, moving it to the non-voted debt service so we can pay the semi-annual installment? Yes, okay. Do it every year. And there'll be a day when we don't, and that'll be a happy day.
Mr. Lumsden, will you call the roll?
Ms. Walter?
Aye.
Ms. Matz?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Mr. Halter?
Aye.
And Mr. Drees?
Aye.
Resolution 2019-17F passes. Next, we have an introduction to resolution number 2019-18CD. This is just an introduction so that we have a chance to review the, 37-page document, and that way get any questions on the table with the hopes of voting on this at the regular meeting work session that will happen on June 11th.
Not work session.
Regular meeting.
Slash work.
Oh, okay.
The same date, the work session would be June 11th, but we'll also have a regular session.
And why would that be the case? Why wouldn't it go to a regular council meeting?
It was my understanding that we wanted to act on it sooner rather than later because of the getting it to the planning commission and to go through all the steps, but maybe I was mistold.
So that kicks off after the approval.
We cannot go to the planning commission until we do something on it.
Okay, that's fine, just clarifying, thank you. Introduction, it's number 2019-18 C&D, authorizing the municipal manager to enter into a contract for purchase and sale of property with Quality Construction Resources, LLC. Whereas the municipal manager has been presented with an offer to purchase certain property in connection with the Village of Greenhills residential redevelopment and infilling housing project. And whereas Council of the Village of Greenhills desires to authorize said sale and purchase. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, Section 1, that the municipal manager is hereby authorized to enter into a contract for purchase and sale of substantially in the form of the contract attached hereto as an Exhibit A incorporated herein by reference. Section 2, that the municipal manager is further authorized to execute any and all necessary documents to fulfill the sale of said property. Section 3, that the finance director is hereby directed to deposit the sale proceeds into the general fund. Section 4, that this resolution shall take effect and be in force from and after the earliest period allowed by law. And that's the introduction.
And I will say that Manager Kovac has gone through a lot of it, but is there any additional questions that anyone would like to ask her or while we have this time?
None for me.
Speak up.
No.
Okay. As I said, we hope to have a regular session at the June 11th typical work session, and this will be on the agenda. Let's go ahead and talk about the calendar before we go into executive session. I'll start down by you, Mr. Halter.
We have to set up a community development date, but we haven't done that yet, so.
Okay, thank you.
TBD.
Mr. Dries?
We do not have a finance committee meeting set, but we should because we are talking about the 2020 budget very soon.
Exciting times.
Mhm.
Ms. Walther?
The 29th of June, we have the day at the pool, and if it's inclement weather, it would be the day after that, the 30th.
Okay. Mr. Lee?
None is scheduled at this point, so.
Ms. Metz?
Streets and Services on June 25th at 9 a.m. And also tomorrow night is the,
Kick up at the Concert of the Commons.
you had it covered.
It's
All
all
right.
I received a message from Mayor Moore that the concert of the Commons of supposedly for tomorrow has been changed to the coming Monday. He
I
said-
did not get that message.
Did you get that message in the office? Jim always calls the office.
No, I haven't heard anything.
Are you sure?
I can show you the message. I had it just before I walked in here, and he says, let council know, this was at 5:54. Let council know that they do not, if they do not know that, from Jim Miller is moving the concert from Wednesday to next Monday.
We better do an all-call on that thing. I believe you.
I believe you. I was checking the weather, and the weather was going to be fine tomorrow.
I know.
Okay, so it is either tomorrow night, or more likely,
Monday.
Actually, there's about a 40% chance of rain at 6 o'clock tomorrow night.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
So,
Okay.
the kickoff for the Concert of the Commons will most likely be Monday, June 3rd, on the Commons. Upcoming this Saturday is Coffee with the Cop at the Foster's at the Troubadour. Please join Chief Bertelman, get a free coffee mug. And then also on Tuesday, June 18th, is Manager Park Talk, and this one is located, we'll have pizza, and we'll be located at the picnic shelter, which is between the pool and golf course.
One of the thoughts I had possibly, if, I don't know if Waycross could do it, or if we could videotape some of the park talks so that if someone couldn't make it, we could post that to the website. The last one was so well done, I thought, and I know sometimes the timing's tough. Especially every time I have to go down towards UC, go down Winton Road, it necks down twice and takes forever. I thought, oh, I'll go down through Wyoming and say, go to 75. I don't know. Maybe construction's following me, but I know
Park Road.
it's really hard. You might get off at 5 or so, and lots of times it's difficult to get up here in time. So,
Yeah.
at least for me, maybe
Yeah.
for others. But if we videotaped it, possibly.
Oh, that's a good idea.
At least a couple of them.
We're hoping the food is somewhat of an enticement because that's right at dinner time.
That's true.
Why not have a couple slices of pizza?
That makes sense. Good suggestion.
Any other items for the calendar? Okay. Ms. Walther, you had an executive session?
Yes, I moved that we go into executive session, and nothing will be decided or voted on afterwards.
An executive
For
session,
purposes of
compensation
to
and appointment
the appointment,
of a public official.
public official, yeah.
I'm looking over at
Yep.
Mr. Forbes.
I don't know why you're going in, but that is a
That's the
sufficient
point.
reason.
If you do what you say you're gonna do, you're good.
Then you're
Yeah.
good.
And no action will be taken after this
Second.
executive session. Thank,
All right.
roll. Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Mr. Dries?
Aye.
Mr. Halter? Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Mr. Lee? Aye. Ms. Matz?
Aye.
Ms. Walther?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I saw your hand motion. I was like, I'm gonna move it forward.